Hey everyone, welcome to day 3 of Mastering the Game of Allyship. I'm excited to sort of deepen your practice. By now you will have done at least two 3-2-1s and start to see the way that they allow you to get really deep into different parts of yourself and kind of understand them in a multidimensional way. So today we're going to keep expanding on that, specifically on your student character, by opening up 4 different roles that this character can play. Throughout the course, we're going to be working on 5 characters with 4 different roles each. And ultimately, in understanding how these different roles show up for these different characters, you're going to get a very deep and also broad understanding of your inner landscape as it pertains to allyship. So, these 4 roles are as follows: the victim, the villain, the hero, and the guide. And the reason that we break this down into these 4 roles is that these are the basic 4 roles that any story is going to have. And right now, really the work that we're doing is to rewrite the story of your relationship to allyship. So knowing that these stories are being told by these different characters, there's going to be a narrative of your student self as they figure out how to learn more about themselves, learn more about the specific people that they want to be allies to. There's going to be a narrative there. There's going to be a journey. There's going to be victims. There's going to be villains. There's going to be heroes. And there's going to be guides. And each of the characters that we encounter are also going to have their own stories. So ultimately, what we're trying to do is figure out what those stories are, figure out what those roles are to the deepest level that we can, and then find a way to integrate them into a life where being an ally is the easiest, happiest, enjoyable thing that you could choose to do. So we're going to start on that today by exploring the 4 roles. And we do this also because each of these roles has one question that you can ask, sort of one goal, one intention that you can have for them that will help you figure out what the next step is. And so we'll break that down as follows. So for the victim self, the victim is the part of you that, again, feels victimized. They're the part of you that sees the current reality and goes, this isn't good. I would have a better life if, but unlike other characters, they don't take action. Usually they feel stuck. They feel put upon. They are waiting for a hero to come and save them. So their main actions, unchecked, are going to be to find different heroes and attract them so that they can be saved, or sort of perpetuate their own stuckness. So the question that we're always going to ask any victim is, what would you need to be able to become the hero of your own story? That's all we're going to do. So when you find a victim character, the question that we're always going to be underlying whatever introspective work that we do when we're doing our 3-2-1s is going to be, what do you need to be the hero? The next character is going to be the villain. Now, many people see villains as these sort of evil figures. And again, bring whatever energy that you want to this type of character. I just want to let you know that for our intents and purposes, a villain is one who creates victims. A villain emerges in a story when a victim realizes that there may be only 2 roles that can exist, the victim and the villain, and so they choose to be the villain. So the question that we ask the villain to sort of move them into a positive direction is, how were you originally victimized, and what would that victim have needed to become a hero? You'll start seeing that there's a theme here. So with the victim, it's how do you become a hero? With the villain, how were you victimized, and how could that victim have become a hero instead of being a villain? And that leads us to the third role, which is the role of the hero. And again, there's lots of images around hero, your Luke Skywalkers, your Spider-Mans, Avengers, whatever you want to call it. We don't necessarily need all of that, though feel free to bring it into your 3-2-1s if they're useful and helpful for you. All we need to know about our hero is, what is the next step? And so that step could be any number of things. Sometimes it's, how do I save the victim? How do I create a circumstance where the victim can be saved? How can I fight the villain? Maybe that's something that's useful for you. I don't know. I personally, in my practice, don't fight villains anymore. It's not really a good use of time. I take the perspective of the villain and give them the opportunity to sort of heal themselves and take the hero role, because when you can alchemize a victim to a hero and a villain into a hero, and you just get to be a hero, suddenly you'll see your narrative shift from this constant cycle of victimization and healing and saving everyone to just everyone playing a character with full personal responsibility. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want these subconscious parts to be brought into awareness, empowered, and then sort of pointed in the direction of what we consider to be good allyship. So in this context, we're just talking about being a student. So there's going to be a victim self for your student. Maybe that's the person who feels like they can't learn. There's going to be the victim, the villain, the one who might have taught that victim that they can't learn, or might be an inner critic, who knows. The hero is the one who does learn, the one who keeps taking the next steps, maybe even if they don't know where they're headed, but they just find that next step and they keep moving forward. And the most important role, I think, for all of these is the guide. And the guide is the part of you that knows what that next step is. The guide takes the higher perspective of all of it, seeing the victim, seeing the villain, seeing the hero, and knowing what the larger goal is, which is to learn, in this context, to be a student. They are going to be the ones that will tell the hero what their next step is. And so really inhabiting that guide role will allow you to recognize that you kind of have all of your answers all the time. Like at every given moment, you know what that next step can be. Sometimes this can be a challenge because when we inhabit our victim self, it's really hard to take that perspective of, I know what I'm doing and I know how to move forward. But that's going to be the practice. So the guide tells the hero what to do. The victim and the villains find ways to become heroes, and the hero just keeps taking that next step. And for all these characters, you just can add the caveat, what would be the most fun and easy way to get momentum in the direction that I want to go? Because the ultimate goal is we want you to have fun, we want this to be something that you can install in your life easily, and we want you to get results. So those are going to be the 4 roles. So the homework for today, I'm going to break down the different roles, is you get to choose 2 of these roles. Again, by the time that we're done, you will have had practice doing 3-2-1s on all the roles, but just for today, I want you to choose 2 of the roles, and do a 3-2-1 as the student self inhabiting or performing that role. And again, see what comes up. Do the full one with the 6 questions. If you need a reminder what the 6 questions are, you can go back to the day previous and there'll be sort of an example and we'll add that, and try and do it a little bit faster this time. Again, we're going to want to keep you with that 15 minutes a day. The first bit is me talking, next bit is you journaling. Obviously, take as much time as you want. If you're enjoying this, do as many as you can. Maybe you do all 4 of the roles. But just to keep it safe and so that we don't overload you, the minimum that you need to do is just do a 3-2-1 on 2 of those roles, and try and see if you can start getting it a little bit faster. So what we're going to want to do for 3-2-1s in general is have a nice balance between as much detail as we can do, but also as fast as we can do. And we want the detail because that'll create the depth. When you describe something in detail, you really have to pull deep into your mind to get to that space. But we balance that with speed so that we can make sure as much of that content as possible is coming from our subconscious. For consciously generating stuff, that's fine, that's great, but mostly that's what people are doing every single day when they're showing up to these issues. What we really want is an embodied sense, and if we're getting an embodied awareness and embodied intelligence around allyship, it's going to need to come from your subconscious, and so that's why we kind of push the speed. So today, you're going to basically do 2 3-2-1s, both in approximately 7 minutes. So if you want to skip something, if you want to find like a trick, try and see how fast you can describe something, but save as much space as possible for the dialogue phase, because that's going to be the biggest, meatiest part. And again, if you don't finish, that's totally okay. We really want you to be able to feel safe to fail here, because that'll give a clue to your mind, we got to find a way to do this faster, and it'll solve that problem for you. So the goal here isn't to be perfect. The goal isn't to do everything. It's to challenge yourself in a way that's safe so that you get used to that challenge, and so your brain knows that as you show up to this work, it's okay to do things that are a little bit risky, that it's okay to do things that aren't going to be perfect immediately. And again, once we do this for all 4 roles of your student self, you're going to have a very deep understanding of what you're going to need to learn how to be an ally. And that's going to make all the rest of the work go super fast, super great. So we're going to do this foundational work so we can get you plugged into the 3-2-1s, and so that it can set the tone for the rest of the 30 days. So, in recap, you're going to do 2 3-2-1s, one on any one of those 4 roles of your choice, the victim, villain, hero, and guide, on your student self. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow.